Just wanted to make a few quick comments on the sacrifice and martyrdom of Aaron Bushnell, 25-year-old white comrade from USA who seemed to be in kind of radical anarchist circles, very much clearly dedicated to commitment to solidarity with Palestine, seemed to be a member of the US Armed Forces, but rejected that in the most one of the most dramatic fashions and the most, I suppose, most potent and defiant ways in his act of self-immolation, after which he explicitly stands in solidarity with the Palestinians, especially Gaza, and he makes that statement of solidarity verbally before going up to the Israeli embassy gates and setting himself alight. And tragically, he has been martyred as a result of his injuries. So it sparked a lot of interesting debate. A lot of people have been inspired and some people have been negatively reacting. So I just want to explore this. So I'm going to go through, like, in terms of whiteness in general, and as through the act of Aaron Bushnell in relation to the colonial genocide in Gaza, which is a global colonial genocide subcontracted to the colonial settler state of Israel. Then Aaron Bushnell's kind of actions, and as it pertains to whiteness and how white people can contend with their own whiteness in that regards, and also to comment on Aaron Bushnell's martyrdom, triggering a lot of colonial insecurities and anxieties, and frankly a lot of individualistic colonial narcissisms and colonial guilt in some, and finally the challenges that Aaron Bushnell's action raises in front of us in our framework of unity and internationalist obligations and anti-colonial solidarity with Gaza. So first of all, I think, what does it mean for white comrades to counter their own whiteness? And this has to be balanced off from the possible dangers of white savior complex in so doing, and other kind of white privileges that exist amongst white comrades. However, I think Aaron Bushnell gives a good example of that. Now, obviously, one's not suggesting that all white comrades do acts of self-immolation to the point of death to escape whiteness. But the point is, and this also has echoes in what Malcolm X said, really, about the expectations of white comrades in the liberation struggle, that we expect them to join in a self-sacrificing way in the liberation struggle, while in so doing not claiming some special privileges or entitlement as a result of their whiteness. So putting it simply, you radicalize yourself as much as possible, but in a humble and spirit of unity and solidarity, which I think Aaron Bushnell more or less fulfilled quite well. So it's a radicalization. It's to say, like, okay, I'm white, but I want to counter this, and I want to enter into the anti-colonial global black revolution. Because, there cannot be anti-colonial liberation without black liberation. Racism is through the prism of which the colonial system operates on all levels and manifestations of oppression. So the expectation in the revolutionary struggle is for white comrades to radicalize themselves, to take those positions and to suffer the consequences which their non-white grassroots black and brown comrades suffer disproportionately. Now, Aaron Bushnell's action has triggered an enormous negative reaction, which is not surprising, and it's not shocking, and it's not unusual. Anytime any political community that sees itself radically on the left or anti-colonial, whatever, anytime, and it can be even a group of 2 or 3, or it can be a faction of 2 to 3,000 or 20 to 30,000, anytime there's a direct action and people suffer some level of physical kind of consequence to that, and a carceral consequence, be it police contact, brutality, time in a police cell, a court case, a charge, a custodial sentence, etc. Or it also can be in relation to the racists on the far right. Anytime there's something pertains to something that's relatively a little bit outside of just nothingness, i.e. a fight, an action, a direct action, an arrest, a brutalization. anytime something happens like that, the group gets split. It divides. It divides between those people who recognize, of course, we have to strategically and efficiently and intelligently pursue the course of direct action and militant struggle. You have that section. And then you have another section that splits off in complaints and protests, who basically have realized that this is a serious struggle and it has consequences, and they're not willing to accept those consequences. And so they either react in one of two ways. Seldom do they act in an honest way to say, look, I'm just not into this because this is scaring me, and I'm scared about whatever consequence on my life or whatever, and I'm going to step out. No cuss on anyone else, no critique on anyone else, actually a self-critique unto myself that this is just not for me, and really I'm a little bit cowardly and scared and I need to duck out. They don't act like that and talk like that. What they say is they gaslight, they project, they blame, they try to shame, and they just indulge in this horrific colonial narcissism born out of their own internalized colonial guilt and shame and blame around their own inadequacies in relation to a radical humanity or the challenges of enacting as a human being around a humanity which is being attacked primarily and centrally in Gaza, right? So that section of sellouts, cowards, narcissists, posturers, fake snakes, fools and tools in the group split off usually by attacking the radicals. And that this is what we're seeing, I think, very clearly all across social media. But often, as is the case in these things, this split around Aaron Bushnell's final and ultimate sacrifice is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And to finish off on this, in terms of our challenges going forward in the Palestine solidarity communities and actions in the light of the martyrdom of Aaron Bushnell. Aaron Bushnell his act is an incredible act, which really has, on a mass level, engaged and concentrated our collective minds as to our own inadequacies, our own failures in enacting a humanity, in direct defense of a humanity of our brothers and sisters and our comrades in Gaza, right? That's the challenge. That's the question it raises. And we really have to discuss this seriously and enact practice on the basis of that as soon as possible. Because Aaron Bushnell points the way in the way he does. Now, of course, we wanted more of the enemy to be negatively impacted in some way. But in a way, Aaron Bushnell's self-sacrifice has done that. It's indicated the target. It's indicated that we need to be self-sacrificing and courageous in that regard. It's indicated that we need to check our own and self-critique our own colonial privilege in the relationship to Gaza, and we need to attempt to negate that by self-sacrificing effective acts. And then the question, and to finish off on this, is Aaron Bushnell's political action of ultimate self-sacrifice beneficial and effective in solidarity to the Palestinian struggle or not? I think the Palestinians have answered this themselves very well in the political statements of all the groups involved in the Palestinian resistance in the armed struggle, some of which I can't mention because it's illegal to mention them in any kind of not negative way because of the ridiculous racist and colonial so-called terrorism laws. But the PFLP, for example, the Radical Marxist Liberation Movement in Palestine, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, has written a statement of absolute respect and admiration and appreciation of Aaron Bushnell. Also, obviously, the fact that he was in the US Armed Forces adds to the radicalism of his act, because it says to us that Aaron Bushnell has negated his role in the army in his self-immolation. I mean, you couldn't find a more graphic example of someone in the armed forces saying, no, fuck this colonial armed forces. I'm going to fucking destroy it around my own like bodily, corporal in that sense, manifestation in the colonial army. I'm going to negate in fire as a public example and advocacy and propaganda and propagandizing ethics and this morality in so doing. It's so profound, this whole act, its representations, its inspiration, how it focuses our minds and our conversations. It's an incredible development in the solidarity movement, and there's so much to engage in this and to learn. And what can we say? All our condolences, and we hope things are made more comfortable for Aaron Bushnell's closest friends and family. And a great, Aaron Bushnell has gone down, and his name will live forever as the person. I mean, there was another person as well, as we know, in December, who also self-immolated and I think died as well in the USA in solidarity with Gaza. So these people in Aaron Bushnell's name for sure will live on with the names like John Brown, Marilyn Buck, and Che Guevara, and other comrades who are white or white passing, who made that ultimate self-sacrifice in our global liberation struggle against white supremacy and colonialism. Thank you, Aaron Bushnell.